This is my crowd of 5 people.
What's up?
My name is Richard Mann. This is the Persuasive speech, and my topic is that vaccines do not cause autism in kids. Imagine that you're a new parent looking at your baby through the window in a hospital like you see in every TV show or every movie. Clearly, you would want the best for your child. And while you read a bunch of parenting books while your wife was pregnant, you read somewhere that vaccines might cause cancer. But you also read somewhere that they don't cause cancer. And you're torn between getting your child vaccinated or not, because you don't want your child to wind up with autism. And so, the first thing I would like to talk to you about today is how a vaccine works. A vaccine it was discovered centuries ago by the Turks. They used to rub smallpox scabs of the infected on people who were not infected in an attempt to inoculate them from the disease. And it didn't work with much effect because they were not very skilled at it. It was the first attempt that they had made. The next attempts were in 1796 by Edward Jenner. He was a British scientist, and he did it more successfully, and he was able to inoculate people with the cowpox vaccine in order to completely eliminate smallpox. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is how a vaccine works. A vaccine works by taking a dulled-down version of a virus and injecting it into a human. It's a simple shot in the arm, takes 2 seconds, and what it does is it stimulates your immune system to produce your own antibodies versus having some artificially put inside of you. In this way, if you come in contact with the full force disease out in the environment anywhere, your body already has the antibodies produced and you're able to fight off that infection with a higher success rate than if you hadn't been vaccinated. The second thing that I would like to talk to you about today is what brings about autism. What known causes do we know about? One of the first things that we theorize to bring about autism is mercury in the body. Mercury is a known neurotoxin. It gets in the body through foods and vaccines, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Foods such as fish tend to be high in mercury, and it's something that's closely monitored by stores. A popular vaccine in the 90s was thimerosal, and this was 50% ethyl mercury by weight. So you could see how mercury could easily get into the human body and how it might be a problem if it's in there in large quantities. L. Schreiber writes that about known factors of neurological abnormality that cause autism. MRI and PET scans show that autism brains are larger due to more neurons, and also compared to non-autism patients, the brain stems of autism children are smaller than that of a normal child. Another difference in the neurological aspect of the body is that they have a smaller cerebellum, but with a smaller cerebellum, they also have more axons, and so it's very cramped. And this more axons, it gives them less links to other parts of the brain. In the brain, in addition to more axons, there are also less Purkinje cells. And what these cells do is they make it tough for autism kids to focus on a certain thing. The differences in autism patients cause each area to act independently of one another in the brain, and therefore incorporation of information in autism patients does not happen as it normally would in a child without autism. Finally, the last thing that I would like to discuss with you is many studies that have been done between the links of vaccines and autism. Autism's the main suspect that we think causes autism is mercury, and I would like to discuss how it gets in through vaccines and a study that was done on it. Stephen Novella writes about a study that took hair samples from women that were close to giving birth within a few weeks, and that hair was tested and was found to show 8.4 parts per million mercury in the hair in the bodies of pregnant women, and that is a small amount, and those children were born without autism, and so that study showed that there was no link compared to the amount of autism, the amount of mercury in the mother's hair. And then another study that was done by Jeffrey Gerber and Paul Offit was about the vaccine thimerosal, which is the one I mentioned earlier, which is 50% ethyl mercury by weight. This study focused on 140,887 U.S. kids born between 1991 and 1999. This pie chart shows the entire 140,887 children, and then the less than 200 of the children that were diagnosed with or that had autism following a vaccination with thimerosal. Less than 200 out of that many. So the study was concluded as autism is not linked to mercury in the body through thimerosal, which is 50% mercury by weight. So that's a substantial amount, which could certainly lead to autism. But the study showed that it was inconclusive. And then this same study was done in Denmark and England and elsewhere in the United Kingdom, and they all had the same conclusion that mercury is not linked to autism in vaccinated patients. Today, I have told you how vaccines and autism both work in the human body, and I have supplied enough information that should persuade you that vaccines are in no way related to autism, and you should not worry about getting your kid vaccinated because one day it may save his or her life, and you definitely should because it can help them.